What's up, guys? It's Dan. I'm back on the HITMANLABS All the Mod 6 server, and I got the windmill finished. Are you guys ready to see the windmill? Here's the big reveal. Isn't it beautiful? It's okay. I don't know if it's beautiful, but it's not bad. I'm relatively happy with it. So, yeah, I got it. I got it done. It's producing about 30, I think like 3072 stress units. Of power, and that's pretty good. And I got the power run down into our workshop, so we can just get started and jump right in today on some create. We got a lot of stuff to do, and I've got a lot I want to talk about. So try not to ramble. But what I would like to do is kind of walk you guys through the just the problems that I had and the things I learned. And if it's helpful, great. If you facepalm, then that's too bad. I guess we'll just have to live with it. Let me show you this too. This is kind of cool. So my gate, it actually works correctly as long as you use it correctly. But if you jump over it, then I need to fix these levers. But those are just these drawbridges from Tinker's Mechworks. And if you do the deploy up, you can get it to deploy these steel poles correctly. But you can also use the put a block down here in this corner, and it'll basically skin it however you want. It's not perfect because they don't point the right direction. The textures are a little off, but I think it's pretty cool. So I like the way that turned out. I like that quite a bit. The other thing that I had to do before we get into this monstrosity down here, I went to the Nether, and to do that I had to travel quite a ways because I could not find a Nether fortress like anywhere close. And so you guys, if you remember correctly, I went down here and tried to do it before, no luck. I did Nether portals all along the way, and then this time I went north, and I got up here and went into the Nether, and then I traveled, however far this is. It ended up being about 10,000 blocks away, which is crazy. So anyway, I traveled all that distance, and in the Nether, I'd used the jetpack to make it bearable. But I finally found another fortress, and I got a blaze. I'll show you what we needed that for. But and then I came all the way back in the overworld. I'll probably put one of those waystones here, but I don't have to go back for a while because I got enough to do the basic stuff that I need. And what I did to do that, I created this like wood jetpack, which is, super simple. It doesn't take too much, although it still takes a fair amount of iron and whatever. But I thought I was going to need one of these to charge it, an energy cube. It turns out I didn't actually need that. I could charge it in here, but I'm glad I did because I took this with me, and that allowed me to just keep charging it up when I was in the Nether, because it basically lasts for like 2 minutes, so it's not very useful. But I had to make the metallurgic infuser to make this thing, so I just made the absolute minimum of what I needed to get that going. But I just wanted to catch you guys up on that. So let's talk about create. This is what I've got. I used this mechanical crafter, so let's start with this thing. It's not what you start with, but it is interesting. So this thing, it doesn't take a lot of power. It's only using 12 stress units. I think if you speed it up, maybe it will go faster, like craft faster, if you give it a higher RPM. But what you can do is basically craft anything with it. Like if I was to put, just make some torches, right? Like I put that stuff in here, and then I give it a redstone signal. It's going to start moving everything down on these paths, and it's going to move them down, and they'll all come down here, and then they'll eventually get to this spot, and then they'll basically craft whatever you've got in there. So you can use it to craft anything you want. Now I'm not going to wait on that because it takes forever, but that would just make me 4 torches, right? Some things you have to craft in here though, because the recipes are huge. So like it doesn't need these actual outside corners to do these crushing wheels, but I just made 15, or I just made 5x5. But anyway, you have to put like nether or andesite ingots out here and all on the edges here in the 3 spots. Then you have to put andesite ingots on these corners in here. Then you put wood on these corners and stone in the middle, and then it takes a while, and it like a minute or 2 or whatever, and crafts up these giant wheels. So this is necessary, but not to get started with. You can make most of this other stuff. I think the only thing I needed to craft was this. But let's talk about a couple other things here. So just to give you a real quick update, I like I said, I got about, we'll go look at the windmill later, but I got about 3,000 stress units coming out of the windmill. It's coming out pretty slow. And I have this junction here, this gearbox, and this will run power a couple of different directions. I'm going to leave this here so that we can just pull off power if we want to just mess around with stuff here in the workshop. But then I'm also going to run power back here. And what I want to do is I want to run power like out of here on a shaft, and then gear off of actually I'll probably run gears off of that up there. And then I want to do 4 different levels of speed. I want to do like level 1, 2, 3, and 4, and just kind of see how that works, and then pull power off of those for other things, so we can run like power to what things that need different speed all over back here with shafts and whatever. You can also use speed controller, so I'll mess with that later too. But that's the plan for today. I'm going to get that started. In the meantime, I wanted to show you kind of what I did here. This is just a giant mess. So this thing needs 192 stress units to run, or at least that's the minimum I could get it running with. If I take that thing and put it back here where it's only getting 96, it still says the speed requirement is not met. So I needed to gear up, I think it was 4 times to get the speed that I need for that thing, right? So if we put that back over here, that's totally not where it goes. It will run and do what it's supposed to do. So this is just a blaze caught in one of these blaze burners, and he's unhappy. That's what I had to go to the nether for. But if we give him a piece of coal, he gets happy. He gets all fired up. And we can go ahead and just dump some stuff in here. So like if we wanted to make brass, we use zinc and copper. I could dump it right in the basin, or I can just throw it in right here. And this thing, basically, these funnels will just take whatever is in front of them in an empty block and then suck it up and put it in wherever it's pointing. So this thing will spit it out onto the conveyor belt. This funnel will pick it up and shoot it into the chest, so you can just make brass that way. So this is basically just alloying and create, right? But to get that thing running, I had to gear everything up so that I could get the proper speed. So to do that, I came out of here with just a small gear. You could actually go directly to a large gear, but the point is you want to go from a large gear to a small gear, and then you don't want to just go to another large gear, because if you did that, you would just get geared down again, right? So if we do this, we just get spinning the same as we came into it with. What you want to do is you want to come off that small gear shaft, because this large gear is turning the small gear faster since it has less teeth. And it spins this gear faster, right? It spins the shaft faster, which makes this large gear spin faster than this one. Then you go into another small gear and then back up to another large gear, which is going to spin this one faster. And then you get the idea, right? So we've sped everything up, and now we're able to produce the 192 stress units at whatever that speed is. Okay, so other things don't need that much power, right? Like this thing, this press, wherever it is, this thing right here, only needs 48 stress units, and we're getting that directly out of the gearbox, right? So I just ran gears over here. They run this thing, which is just a really slow conveyor belt at this point, which will take stuff out of here. So if we wanted to make like a zinc, actually let's make a copper plate. We put it in there, it'll take it out, put it on the conveyor belt, it'll bring it down here, and it's going to put it on this depot, and then this thing will notice that it has something it can do, so it'll smash it, because that's what it likes to do, is smash crap. And then it's just going to sit there, right? Now this thing also only needs 48 stress units, so I could just come directly off the gearbox and give that what it needed. This thing obviously only needs 12 stress units, but it's getting 48, so it doesn't care about getting 48. Apparently, I guess that tells us what we needed to know. This doesn't actually work faster with more speed. I think that's what that tells us. Actually, maybe that's not true. It's 48 stress units, but maybe more speed would still speed it up. I don't know. We'd have to look into that. So the depot, I can just right click to get stuff off of that. Now that brings me to my next point, which is this is actually not, for me, it wasn't entirely intuitive how these funnels work, right? So if you place a funnel like this just against that basin, that is going to put stuff into the basin, right? It's going to take anything that's over here and put it into the basin. But not just a chest, right? It won't just take stuff out of a chest right here. If I was to put a chest there, that wouldn't work. I would need to do this, right? I would need to make it come out of the chest like that. And I don't even think that would work in this case. But if I wanted to right click on that, shift right click, now that will pull out and put onto this, right? So I shift right clicked both of these, and they ended up in different configurations. This one, because it recognized that there was something it could put it out to, which is this conveyor belt. So it configured itself this way. In this case, we don't need that, because these basins come with their own like little dumper thing, so this just dumps out onto the conveyor belt anyway. But now you can see that what we did here was just configure it so that we point it towards the chest, and it'll suck stuff off the conveyor belt into there. But you would think, okay, well, if I put this here, that's what that would pull off of that depot onto this. Not the case. In this case, it would put stuff onto it, right? So if we threw a gear on there, it's going to put it on the conveyor belt, on the depot. But if we put something for it to put into, not a chest, actually, it won't work with a chest. If we do this, we end up with the same thing, right? But if we put a conveyor down here, a depot down here, and we do the same thing, it'll come off the depot onto the depot, right? So now if we put something there, it just goes directly down here. So anyway, took all of them. That's interesting, right? Like it depends on what is at the input and the output, how it'll configure itself, which I think is interesting and not entirely intuitive. Took me a while to figure out. I'm still not entirely sure what all will work in what circumstances, but anyway, that's something to keep in mind. So what we're going to do today is we're going to make ore processing. And what we need to do that is basically dump junk in between this, dump ores into here. It's going to bust it into cobble and these crushed ores. Then we'll separate those. The crushed ores will get washed into nuggets. The nuggets will then get smashed into ingots on the press, and each 9 nuggets smashes into an ingot on the press, and then they'll come off of whatever the depot or whatever. Actually, it'll be a basin in that case when we're smashing them, and they'll come out of there and into a chest or whatever, and then we'll build some sort of a basic storage system, probably drawers with a drawer controller, and we'll get a little more sophisticated than we have been, but not too sophisticated. So anyway, that's what I got to do today. I got to get the power run. So I'm going to go ahead and run power back here. Just try to get like a basic setup that I can actually use with some power, and then we'll start putting stuff together, and I'll bring you guys back in when I start building stuff. I did want to show one more thing. So instead of using the power up there, what we could do is we could take one of these encased fans, and I never get this right. Let me see. Okay, so now I need to turn it so it's facing down. There we go. So it's facing down, right? If I was to apply a redstone signal to this thing will put out 64 stress units, right? You can see that that's turning up there. In fact, if we put a gear, you can see it turning the gear, right? So that's putting out 64 stress units of power. And this is a neat little generator. I mean, we got this in our previous nether run, these magma blocks. This is really easy to make, and this will power a lot of things. Like this would power, actually everything here could be powered just off of one of these generators. I think it's kind of cool to try and use our power that we get from our windmill. But if we get into a bind and it's easier to use one of these, it makes things look a lot cleaner. I might go ahead and do that, but I'm going to try to stick with the power that we got from our windmill just for fun. But I just wanted to point that out. So basically any heat source below one of those encased fans will produce a little bit of power. All right, I'm going to get started on this and I'll be right back. All right, guys, I was just picking up some ores here to test out the system. I just recorded this whole segment. I wanted to have you guys see me run through this for the first time, and then something happened. So I don't know if you guys will notice the frame rate difference. I actually got a new computer between the time that I recorded the first part of the segment and the next in this part, and I was testing out everything I wanted to record right away with it, just to test it out. The frame rate is fantastic, so things have gotten definitely better, but something happened with the recording, and it recorded the audio and everything, but the video was frozen. So something with OBS and the new system I didn't have set up correctly. This seems to be going okay, so we're going to go with it. But I wanted to run you guys through this, the first run of it with you. It worked brilliantly, so without really any tweaks, which is cool. But anyway, we'll walk through it again, and we'll get some ores processing, and I'll just kind of show you what I did. I also had some that I had built here. Like I just added this little part over here to do some pressing of sheets. So we'll talk about all that stuff here in a minute, but let's just get it going. So what we're going to do is we're going to throw some copper, some nickel, and some iron in there, and it's just going to take them out. Now I'm not sure if this can pull out more than like one at a time but I think it looks so cool. Just like there's just going to be a constant stream of ores running in there, and then they pop up and come down into the crusher. That's so cool. So anyway, they get crushed right there. They come down. This is a washer. We'll go look at the back, but this thing is just washing the ores and turning them into nuggets. I have these brass funnels, and they have filters on them, and these filters are really cool. The filters, I'll show you that in a minute. The mechanism for the filtering is awesome. You can basically put an item in the filter, then it will ask you what attribute of that item you want. So like, is it a nugget? Is it a mine colonies, blacksmith object, whatever. And you can say, you can select one or more of those properties, and then you can tell it, only let things through that meet either one of these or all of these or whatever. We'll look at that in a minute. But then it takes the nuggets, and as soon as it gets 10 of them or 9 of them, it is going to smash them down into ingots, and those get shot over here. Now, this thing is actually running really well. It's running at 384 right now. That is, like, you can see how fast it's going. Like it's actually just smashing them down pretty quick. It's ahead of this, and I might actually get the crusher going faster. I kind of liked the speed that it was running at, and I didn't want the system to get overwhelmed, but because this thing is running so fast, I could probably either make this a little slower or whatever, because what I found is that I'm actually using up like all of the stress units from my system. I had to put over here, you'll see I used actually one of these generators. Right below there is one of the magma blocks, right? So this is one of those little magma generators to run this whole system over here, because I didn't have enough. As soon as I hooked up even just this one gear to run this belt, it overstress the system. So I actually learned a few things. I thought that things were, when I created this, right, it's only using 96 stress units right now. And the way that that's all working is that I pulled off of here with different speeds, like I said I was going to do. Now I know I can do this with speed controllers, and there's some stuff you can optimize, but I wanted to just like learn about the gearing and stuff. And so this is just kind of a fun first attempt. But this right here, this shaft is right here is pulling off like straight from the windmill, right? No stepping up in the speed. So this is supposed to be like 12, right? This next one, the second one, steps up once, and this is 24, and then it steps up again to 48, and so on until it gets all the way down here, which is like the 396, or this would actually even more than that, I think. I'm not running anything off of this speed right now, but what I'm doing is I'm pulling things off at these various speeds and running them in different places, right? So this is the last thing I did, and when I did it, I thought that it was overstressing because this machine couldn't take more power. It couldn't take any more stress. But I think what happened was I was trying to run it at like 3 something, lag spike, and it ended up overstressing the system because it was taking more power than the system was producing. At least that's my theory. You guys correct me if I'm wrong. I need to look into this a little bit more. But, we're producing about 3,000, and we're using, it's hard to say, like 96, and so there's like 200, and like, I don't even know, right? It's really hard, but to like 384 and another 96, and it doesn't seem like I should be using the full 3,000, but who knows? So anyway, I'll look into it more, and you guys will probably tell me what I'm doing wrong. But this thing is working pretty amazing, right? So it's just like smashing all this up. Now, it's definitely not keeping up. Something's not keeping up. This is definitely the first time I've run with this many ores. So from before, I only ran with like half a stack of each. It seems like things are getting lost now. They're definitely getting this is filled up. This thing is going as fast as it can. So maybe that actually even needs to go faster. Anyway, I'll work on that. But it's producing iron and ores, or in different things, right? Which is what we need. Now this, if we put some things in here, so let's grab some zinc and copper. Was that what? Yeah, I think that's what we use, right? A little bit of zinc, a little bit of copper, and we'll just throw that in here. So let's say we want to alloy something. Oh no, my sword is picking stuff up. So copper and zinc, it'll put that in here. This thing should recognize that it has a recipe, and it won't pull them out directly. Well, unless I'm wrong about that. Yeah, I think that should work. Unless this isn't. No, they got pulled out. Didn't they go in here? Let's see. Oh, sorry. I have to give it a fire. There we go. So now it recognizes that it has a recipe, and it goes ahead and makes an alloy, right? So the zinc and copper turn into brass. This thing, if we wanted to take a brass sheet and put it in here, or make a brass sheet, this will puke out a nug or an ingot onto the depot. The kinetic press will, or the mechanical press will smash it, and then it'll come out here because, let me just show you this real quick. So this filter has a selected attribute of forge plates, right? So if I put something in here, and then if you scroll, the scroll wheel lets you pick which of the things you care about. So like beacon payment, or whatever, reducible product excluded. There's all kinds of things, brass only, ingots, whatever. So you can select the thing that you want, and then you can say either I want that or the opposite of it, right? Like, so anything but ingots could come out, or only ingots could come out. Anyway, so then if you hit plus, it'll throw it down here in the selected attributes, and you'll get more and more of them. You can have as many as you want, and then you can say all of those, any of them, or none of them. Right? So it's just a really cool way to do filtering. I like it a lot. And then you just throw it on there and it filters. And the filters can be put on lots of different things, right? Like anything that has an input output. Now you can't put them on these andesite funnels. These are made for, they're cheaper, but they're also just like they'll pull anything out. Anyway, so yeah, you can see that we're definitely, this is a problem. I'll have to work this out before next time, but we at least have a way to do some of this. I guess this needs to go faster even than what it's going now, because this is just, so maybe this could slow down. I was thinking I needed to speed it up, but maybe this could actually slow down to the lowest level. It's going at 96, so it could go at like 12. All right, I'll play with that, but I think that's enough for this time, guys. I really appreciate you guys watching, and oh man, the nuggets are going everywhere. Please let me know how I'm doing. Leave comments. tell your friends. We want to grow the channel. We're having a blast doing this. I'm hoping the videos are getting a little bit better, a little more coherent. This one might have been, hopefully it was short enough. It might have been a little less coherent, but I'm sorry about losing all that footage. I had some really good stuff that I was kind of wanted to show you, but anyway, I'll keep playing with this. Next time we'll do some storage. I think our plan is going to be to work on, I'm just going to get some drawer storage going with a drawer controller and, just really basic stuff. Then we'll take that and we'll add some refined storage on top of it somewhere in here, and we'll get our workshop set up. And now that we've got a place to work and we're starting to get some resources, we can start looking at what's going to be next. So I think you guys saw the mining challenge video. If you didn't see that, go check it out. We did a mining challenge with the kids, and that was really funny. It's a really short video. But then we're going to do some more stuff together. We want to get the shopping district going, like the city center, and get some mine colonies started. And so anyway, I'm rambling. It's enough for today. I'll ramble more next time. Come check it out. I'll see you in the next episode. Thanks for watching. Bye.